Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. So my name is Poyao Huang. I'm coming from UC San Diego Communication and Science Study program. Today I will be presenting on how to have theory of queer blood. Since being identified in the United States more than 3 decades ago, AIDS pandemic has experienced dramatic change in its public perception. To detail such a shift, this paper begins by introducing 3 blood-related practices that are linked to gay men's everyday practice. First one, uncertainty management and temporality. In early 2000s, communication scholar Dale Bashir proposed a theory of uncertainty management. He proposed that people with chronic illness such as HIV and cancer hold very ambivalent attitude toward uncertainty. In some cases, people may want to reduce uncertainty because they think this uncertainty is threatening, whereas on the other hand, uncertainty allows people to maintain hope and optimism in that kind of illness condition. Interestingly, this theory denotes a significant shift in the history of AIDS pandemic by indicating that instead of considering AIDS to be a lethal disease, people began to learn how to cope with uncertainty of illness and further incorporate those uncertainty into their everyday practice. The second one. Okay, so the image is not clear. 2009, in Unlimited Intimacy, queer scholar Tim Dean proposed that HIV pandemic allows queer men to have a new opportunity to engage this kinship because they can share virus. So through the HIV virus, gay men can discover that they can breed without women. So in his analysis, blood is considered as a polluted material on the one hand, and yet a gift that carries sexual identification on the other. The third one is medication. Specifically, I want to talk about Truvada. So in 2010, FDA approved Truvada, which is a medication that we can use to against the HIV infection. So according to CDC, the coverage, so when taking constantly, Truvada or PrEP has shown to reduce the risk of HIV infection up to 92%. By the same token, for those HIV positive individuals, when they can take this ART medication, their coverage shows that they can maintain their viral load to an undetectable level, so that they can reduce the likelihood of HIV transmission. So those 2 interventions, along line with the notion of medical consumerism, reveals the possibility of understanding cultural politics of queer blood to reconfigure multiple practices to create alternative, to create new queer lifestyle in the post-AIDS era. So clearly, those 3 practices, those 3 cases indicate that queer man's blood or queer blood in this paper is a technology of self that is utilized to maintain hope, to establish kinship, and finally to improve oneself in order to become a more advanced subject. So this paper considers the cultural politics of queer blood in relation to AIDS pandemic by conceptualizing the objecthood of queer blood as a site that enact multiple realities, a conjunction where the health intervention, discourses, and the individual's experience cross. This paper approached the notion of objecthood by making a detour in proposing how to have theory of queer blood. I will argue that queer blood does not merely exist within one's body and is the object that one has to preserve. The meaning of queer blood inhabits within the moment when it is transformed, transfused, and exchanged. By rendering queer blood its own voice, its own political stance, this paper addressed the necessity of having a theory of queer blood. So based upon the historical materials about blood, I will first propose an ontological duality of blood to account for the nature of this very substance. I will then turn to a fluid logic of reproduction as a theoretical intervention to detail the ways in which queer blood shapes a current understanding about queer embodiment and temporality. Finally, I will use an example to demonstrate the ways in which queer blood is transformed into an online arena, as well as how blood is coded and incorporated into queer men's daily practice. So based upon a lot of historical materials, we can understand that the ontology of queer blood, or ontology of blood, possesses multiple dualities. So in the domain of donation, blood can understand as a gift and commodity, and also in the other literature, we can also understand blood as biomedical and sociocultural traits, and we can also understand blood has these embodied and disembodied characteristics. Also, the fact that we can save our blood into future use in the medical sense, we can also think about blood in terms of temporality, so that indicate past and the future. Finally, blood can, from a sociology perspective, blood has been considered as a very important material to think about self and others. I'm also reading blood from the perspective of flesh. So in this project, Alessandro Vicalier, he considered flesh as a way to create a new ontology, as a way to supersede the ontological distinction between the animate and the inanimate, between human and non-human. Also, by the same token, Gail Solomon in 2010's project, Assuming a Body, she looks at flesh in a way to designate a certain unlocability of the body. So, which means it is not a substance of, and it is not also the pure identity. It is constructed somewhere in between. So adapting, embracing and as well as adapting layer conceptualization, I contend that the cultural materiality of blood is similar to that of flesh, because blood speaks for its in-betweenness and unlockability on the one hand, and entails relational properties on the other. The inquiry into ontological stance of blood attempts to investigate the cultural meaning of the in-betweenness. In a way, blood should not be reduced to the inert substance that is subjected to the predictable causal logic. We should conceptualize blood as a boundary object, in that materiality of blood derives from the practice that blood initiates. I propose that the objecthood of queer blood should not be understood as merely as a category, a scientific indicator that speaks for or speaks to one's health condition, but a doing, a social phenomenon that entails multiple realities of matter and that allows multiple practice, such as social norms and scientific and medical calculations, to entangle as well as disentangle the queer subjectivity. While the ownership of queer blood entails to most of the time entails to an individual. At the same time, this paper I also want to call attention. We should also look at blood in terms of its material and relational properties. If we consider queer blood as an object that establishes queer subject, how then does the ontology of multiple dualities multiply, circulate, and generate meaning? More importantly, what kind of logic reproduction does queer blood register? Here, I propose a notion of fluid logic of reproduction, a perspective that, on the one hand, engages dialogue with the classic Marxism, use and exchange values, and yet, on the other hand, I want to expand as well as twist this very logic by introducing the phonology into conversation. I suggest two principles of this very logic to consider queer blood. So first one is to think blood in terms of assemblage instead of intersectionality, because assemblage, this perspective allows us to see the ways in which meaning comes into being. Okay, so I can talk about this later, but I have an ambition, so I want to talk more about my example, so let me go through it. The other perspective is disorientation. So I read disorientation from scholar Sarah Ullman's queer phenomenology. In queer phenomenology, she proposed to unfold multiplicity so that we can think about the use and the politics of an object in order to reconsider various possibilities of a livable life. And by engaging performativity, queer phenomenology call attention to the actual practice, the disorientation from normality, the point where things should not encounter. Altogether, the two principles not only destabilize an object's predeterminate logic of reproduction, but also liquidate the conceptualization of labor. In particular, the fluid logic of reproduction attempts to accommodate the notion of reproduction by asking what queer blood wants. For this question, we need to recognize that queer desire for a livable life condition is an imperative component for the politics of life. We also have to clarify that queer desire is not synonymous with sexual desire. Sexual desire is only one major aspect of queer man's desire. That is to say, sex is not the sum of queer pleasure. Queer desire seeks more than to achieve the sexual pleasure and win heterosexual recognition. And finally, I want to briefly talk about the case to address the possibility to use this very logic to understand queer blood. So I want to talk about, it's kind of embarrassing, I want to talk about online application, Hornet. So I'll talk about, so for those of you who might not be familiar with this online digital application, so this is the application where you can download and use to identify the other queer men or men who want to have sex with men. So after you establish your account, you can have your avatar, and you can also identify the others by checking their location. But this one is different from the other one. Why? So in order to in addition to your name and your age, your ethnicity, and your height, this one also asks you to upload your KYS, know your status. So after you establish your account, you can go to the setting, and this app asks you to specify when was the last time you received a blood test. So let's here. And also, because the current medication, and we have multiple ways through which we can think about the condition of blood. So we have 6 types of blood. So not sure, negative, positive, negative, unprep, and positive, undetectable. So with that, we can think about several issues. So first of all is the ways in which we complicate the dichotomy of blood condition. So it's not, okay, let me use 2 more minutes to finish this. So on the one hand, you can complicate the dichotomy ways in which we think about blood condition. So it's not only negative or positive at all. And also, blood becomes an online it becomes a filter mechanism where you can identify the other same type of blood of man. And it also create a sense of updated self. Because we think about the window period, every 3 months, every 45 days, we have to test our blood. So it also creates ways in which we can think about subjectivity. Finally, because this update self and the window period and the waiting and the fact that you have to constantly update yourself, it also creates a sense of morality and responsibility. Finally, in Undoing Gender, Judy Butler interrogates what gender wants, a question that she considered to be central to investigate the doings of gender categories in relation to the politics of livable life. Following a similar theoretical route, this paper proposed to investigate what queer bloods want, a question that I think is very important to study the politics of queer subjectivity in relation to AIDS pandemic. By unpacking the theoretical richness of queer blood, I hope this paper serves as a starting point for more conversation that can contribute to the future research. Thank you.
Wonderful panel. I feel like the Rolling Stones' Let It Bleed or something.